Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, played 11 seasons for the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. We come to you twice a week to talk all things hockey. But first, we're going to talk a little football, Tom. Yesterday, I'm assuming you watched all the games. We've got games today, a couple that I'm interested in. My wife has found some interest in Matthew Stafford. You know, he was the longtime Lions quarterback, and so now he's on the Rams, and I think she's rooting for him to make a lengthy run. So she's looking forward to that game today.
There's a story there too. Like, didn't his wife battle cancer, brain cancer, or something?
She did, for sure. And you know, they didn't. The fan base didn't treat him all that well in the end. Like, he never really had a team that was worthy of going all the way, but they kind of feel like he could have done better, but I'm not so sure he could have. You still got to have the talent. So
totally, No, I think he's a great. I love him as a player. Like, he's a real fiery guy too.
And yesterday, I'm sure you watched the Steelers game. I did. See the end of Roethlisberger's career. Going to be 40 next year. Unfortunately, he's not Tom Brady. Tom Brady has the athletic body to play into his 40s. He's lean and still relatively mobile. I mean, that was never his game like Mahomes. But Roethlisberger, even in his prime, was not the most mobile quarterback in the world. And now he's less so. So,
and the lesson I see from Tom Brady, and I learned a lesson myself too, at the end of your career, you can make a decision. Do you want to continue your career by doing extra things to keep your body in shape? Like, Tom Brady's probably in better shape now than when he was drafted, right? I remember seeing the picture from his draft year. He had a terrible body. He wasn't in shape at all. Now he's all the healthy foods and exercise and everything. Whereas Ben obviously has made the choice. It's just not that. It's not worth it, because obviously he could do the same thing. Anybody could do what Tom Brady's doing, not skill.
Well, I mean, let's not get too carried away. He's 40 years old and he's still playing. But Roethlisberger must be doing something right. See, if you can go to another level, I think Tom Brady's teaching everybody a lesson, not just football players. Man, you want to do something, you can do anything. Well, what's the career expectancy for a quarterback? I mean, I don't think it's 40.
But you look at these guys. Why do they retire? I mean, is it more because they've made enough?
Well,
money?
Roethlisberger isn't. He said it was the end of his Steelers career, but he's leaving open the possibility of playing. I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think what happens, especially now, they make so much money too, and it's wear and tear on their body. I mean, Tom Brady has to do a lot of extra work. I mean, he's obviously driven for whatever reason to be the greatest quarterback that ever played, and Wayne Gretzky was the same way, right? I mean, Wayne Gretzky had the vision that he wanted to be the best player that ever played the game. And I think Tom Brady's got that same vision. And I think that's the difference between those guys and everybody else. It's willing to put the work in to be that great a player. But
yeah, I just think that Roethlisberger is the wrong example to use of a player who needs to work harder to lengthen his career. I mean, he's done okay.
We'll give that.
Yeah. So but when you expand the playoff pool, you're going to get games like we had yesterday. The Dallas San Francisco game went down to the crazy final play. I'm not sure why Prescott decided he was going to run the ball there when he could have taken 2 shots into the end zone. But other than that, the other games weren't all that.
Did you see what Prescott at the end there, or when he was interviewed after, was praising the fans for throwing things at the referees after the game? It's like, you're the one that screwed up. I mean, you're the one that didn't, get the job done. And they were blaming the referees.
Yeah. Well,
the Cowboys looked like a little bit of a mess. He had one player there that they spelled his name wrong on his jersey.
Yeah.
And then they screwed that up at the end. Wow.
Yeah, it was in. I mean, he's right about the officials have to do their job, but you should never put yourself in a position where any problem, like they should have taken 2 throws into the end zone.
Absolutely.
There was no reason to do, because no matter what you've done there, you've now you're basically then down to 1 shot in the end zone. And does it really make a difference if you're 30 yards instead of 40,
and to blame, you can even, let's say that you can blame the referees that they did something wrong, which I don't think is the case. That referee by rule has to come in and touch the ball before they can make a play. But yeah, you left it that they could affect the outcome of the game by your mistakes, right? So I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be in the old school days of professional sports, coaches would always say, don't, if you dominate the game enough and take charge, then one officiating mistake is not going to cost you anything. So,
yeah.
But the problem with that kind of thinking is that we have a lot of parity now in professional sports because of the draft system and free agent system and everything else. So oftentimes one officiating blunder can have a unbelievable impact on a game. So, interesting. And today, having football 3 games on a Monday. Martin Luther King Day. We're going to have hockey too. At 1:00, we'll have the Red Wings and Sabres. I think there's a bunch of afternoon games today. Yeah. I think the earliest one is that Detroit Buffalo game.
So, yeah, I think at 1:00, right? And then there's some 3:00 games. Yeah.
Who's the 3:00 games today?
There's the 3:00 game. Minnesota's at Colorado. The 1:00 is Detroit at Buffalo. 3:00, Minnesota, Colorado. LA's at San Jose at 4:00 Eastern. Montreal's at Arizona, 4:00 Eastern. 5:00, Chicago's at Seattle, and then there's 7:30 games. Chicago Islanders. There's one postponement. New Jersey and Toronto. So,
Well, I love afternoon hockey. I always used to joke with my colleagues. I've even joked with it. Gary Bettman, who understood it, said, I said if it were left up to sports writers, particularly me, all games would be Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m.
Oh,
so. That's when we'd play the NHL because you don't want it too late because you don't want the afternoon rush hour traffic. So
sure.
11:00 gets you out of there by 2:30. Even if I'm writing, I'm out by 3:30. So now I can beat the rush hour traffic. So maybe 10:30 would be better.
I think even the players like the afternoon games. There's less going on. You don't have to do the pregame skate. You just get at the game and get going. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you don't have the inconvenience of the 3-hour pregame nap. You can't get that in. So.
The ice cream after your 1:00 meal. Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. I still don't get the whole pregame nap just because I guess I don't know how to sleep properly because I'm always sluggish when I wake up from.
Well, I think it's more because in the old days, especially when the guys were going out the night before and drinking beer, they needed the nap in the afternoon. Now it's just become a tradition that guys nap. I don't think. Reality is, I don't think we know why we do anything. It's like the pregame skate isn't even necessary. I don't think it really makes a difference. But I think again, it was just
the original morning skate started because they wanted to get players out of bed. They didn't want them, sleep until 11 or 12 because that really would make you sluggish. But I always used to say that there was no uglier looking group of young men than you would see hockey players strolling in for the morning skate.
Oh, absolutely.
They look like death warmed over.
It's like you told me hair with a brick. Yeah, it's
yeah. I mean, it was just they just looked hungover and worn out, and so. Wanted to talk a little bit about the Colorado Avalanche. Finally got enough games in that they're, the way they do the standings is so misleading. Yeah. Like I always feel the standings, because especially during the COVID period here, should be done by winning percentage and not by points.
Yeah.
So we kept showing Colorado is down because they played so many fewer games than everyone else, and they still have played fewer games. But they finally have enough points now that they're in first place, in that division. But they've been in first place a long time, even though it looked like they were in fourth.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the points, but their winning percentage is over 700.
Yeah, 729 they're at, yeah. Wow.
So, that's pretty significant. There's no one else over 700 in that conference. So
I know. And the only other teams that are above 700, Florida, Tampa, Carolina, and Toronto's over 700. Yep.
We got the same thing going on with the Rangers. The Rangers are technically in first place because of the points and the wins, but they've played, I believe, 4 more games than Carolina. Is that right?
Yep. Carolina has played 35. Rangers played 39. Yep.
Yeah. So four games is fairly significant. So that makes that makes a difference. So you got to win them.
Here's a question for you too. Peter Schaefer asked this question, and I think it's a good question. So should we worry about the Islanders? Yes, I think worry that yes, I think they're playing better now, right? And they haven't played very many games either.
Well, but they lost. They don't have that 3-game. They had a 5-game point streak, and they had a 3-game winning streak, and then they lost.
Right. They've only played 30 games, whereas the Rangers played 39. So, but their winning percentage is below 500 too. So
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you still have to win.
Yeah.
Like if they continue on where they are now, then add out of 9 games, so 18. So a half would be 9, so 7. So you had 7 points. Where would they be?
Yeah, if you're playing below 500, so 7 points right now, they get 28, so they get 35 points, whereas the Rangers are already at 54 points. So
yeah, so they're 19 behind.
Yeah.
So let's just say they're going to play 500. We'll give them 9 points, so they're at 36.
And that's Boston. The last wild card spots at 46. So yeah, they're way out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, and sooner or later, I mean, we're still talking about bad starts, and we're almost 40 games into the season. At some point, the bad start becomes who you are.
Right.
You are your bad start.
I forgot to mention, go back to Colorado then. Are they going to get another goalie? Are they going to get Marc-Andre Fleury?
I don't know. I mean, I think they should. Like, I think when you're this close and you have this talent, that you leave no stone unturned. You go for it. You push all in. You get your chips and put them in the middle of the table, and you go for it. That's how I feel about it. But I don't know. Joe Sakic is a very difficult read. I think he's in the
Steve Yzerman mold, right?
Well, I think he's different than Steve. Like, Steve for sure is going to be aggressive. Everything about him since he has started has been erring on the side of aggressiveness. Sakic has not been that guy. Like, he has been aggressive, but sometimes he has not.
Yeah, very true.
I just think he's a little bit more difficult.
When was Steve Yzerman aggressive? What do you mean when you
on everything? Martin St. Louis, he traded him.
No, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You got a real bold trade for him. You look at last summer, he brought in Nick Leddy. Nobody saw that coming. He traded Verana, Mantha for each other. Nobody saw that coming.
Pat Maroon and Bogosian and all those guys. Yeah, made a big difference to the team. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, he wasn't there for Maroon.
He wasn't there. He was not. No, but he has always been, aggressive. He acquired McDonough too, didn't he?
That was him. I believe it was. Yeah. Well, that was in the Marty St. Louis trade, wasn't it? No. It was Marty came when the Rangers made that playoff run,
right?
And McDonough was still here for that, so I can't remember.
So he's made. My point is Yzerman has always been aggressive.
Yeah.
There's no sitting back and seeing what's going to happen with Steve Yzerman.
Right. Right. Okay. So Ranger fans want to know: are they going to be aggressive? Are they going to trade Georgiev? What do you think?
I think they will be aggressive because they're the only team with any cap space. If you go to capfriendly.com and you look at all the contenders,
right?
If you consider Nashville a contender, and I think you do, they have $10 million. The Rangers have $4 million, and then nobody else has got more than $380,000.
Oh, wow!
So I mean, I was talking to a general manager who pointed out he had 0 cap space. I saw the Tampa Bay Lightning have said publicly, told The Athletic, Brisebois didn't think they would do much because he likes the players he has and doesn't want to move any of them to get someone. So, I don't know. I mean, where are all these players going to go? They keep talking about for rentals. Something has to give here.
And I don't like, if I'm the Rangers too, I'm thinking, okay, they're a contender, which probably is a little bit of a surprise. I thought they'd make the playoffs, but I didn't think they would be this much of a contender. And do you really do you want to trade away some assets? Or do you just say, listen, these kids are going to get some great experience, hopefully go on a run here, maybe win some playoff rounds. Who knows? I mean, look at Montreal last year going to the finals. Maybe the Rangers are that. But the Rangers are, more of a contending team than Montreal was last year.
I'll tell you the two guys that I would like to see if they're going to go for rentals. The two guys I would like to see the Rangers get would be Sherrod from Montreal, who is that hard edge, hard to play against defenseman. And I think he would sort of fit into what they want to do. They want to be hard to play against in the postseason. And then the other guy that I think could really add as another layer of dynamic play would be Hurdle from San Jose. I think that those would be interesting players for them to consider.
And, I'll give you the negative against that, though. Then you're taking these young kids, you're taking away ice time from them, right? Because you got to if you're trading those players, you got to play them. So now these young kids that you're trying to develop don't get that ice time. Get that.
Do you feel like they shouldn't go all in, the Rangers, because they're not ready?
Well, I would argue that they're going all in already. That they are. They went and got Panarin. They went and got Trouba. They've got great goaltending, if not the two of the best young goaltenders in the league, maybe a combination anyways. So in my mind, I actually think they, in maybe a different way, they have gone all in. Matthew Tkachuk, Peter Schaefer says, get Matthew Tkachuk. I don't think you're going to get Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, you can get up, you're going to give away a lot to get him if you want him. And I would love to see him on the Rangers, but.
Yeah. No, I don't think Matthew Tkachuk is available.
No. But again, I mean, we gave up enough, but yeah, they're not going to do that.
Yeah. But I guess the other, if I'm helping your argument, I would say this could be a season where not many teams can add something, so you don't really have to add something if you're comfortable doing it. But
so why would you add something when you're playing as well as you are? You're one of the top teams in the league right now. So
yeah, but that's usually when people do something, is when they are playing well.
Yeah. But
I've heard all the arguments, and I don't even think there is the right answer. I've heard people say, you want to show faith in your team by not giving them. Then I've heard saying, you want to tell them you believe in them by giving them more to work with. Like, well, what does all that mean? I think it's, you're just rationalizing at that point.
Totally. And then there's been times too where you bring in a player, and it takes a while. If you get him right at the deadline, it takes a while for him to get in a role there with the team, new system, new role he's playing on the team.
Yeah, but I don't know. Let's just use the guy that I mentioned, Sherratt. How long do you think it would take Sherratt to be Sherratt?
Right. Yeah.
And just imagine. I mean, that Rangers defense as it is, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Fox, Trouba, and
now you add in Sherratt, who's just a belligerent guy to deal with.
And as our buddy Ron Grester will point out, they brought in that Braden Schneider's at Brayton, I think it was, scored in his first game. So he's the same as Tom Laidlaw, scored in his first game. So he's very similar. Problem is, I scored in my own net. I know Ron would want to point that out.
So yours did not.
Didn't count. Well, I counted, but
just not under your statistics.
And then poor Robert Picard had to pay for it the next night, and I had to do something to make up for shooting on my own net. So
yeah. Well, then did you think your NHL career was over at that point?
Oh, I was wondering. I mean, I was in Boston. I shoot my own net. It's the first game. I'd had a good training camp, so I'm still there with the team. But I was thinking, God. And then I'll never forget when Robert Picard butted me. It's like my life flashed before my eyes. I'm thinking, okay, I scored my own net last night. This second game, Freddie Shero wants us to fight. And I've just allowed a guy to butt in me in front of our bench. I said, I just can't do it. And I just didn't give much of a chance. I just stood up, suckered him. So
when you scored your own net, was it at least a good shot?
No, it was a deflection shot. I had to bang it off the back of JD's leg. Yeah. It looked like a pure goal. No.
So, is today the 18th?
17th.
Okay. So tomorrow, Willie O'Ree's number gets retired.
Yeah.
Long overdue. I'm not sure what this is all about, but and they had agreed before. They just had delayed it last year. But this should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, totally. I agree 100%. Yeah, he's a great man too. I'm sure you spent some time with him. I have. He's a real gentleman.
Classy man. It's probably done more post-retirement than he did as a player. You know what I mean? Because he has really gone out and he's been in the vineyards, getting grape stains on his feet, helping grow the game.
I like that. We know where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's made a difference in a lot of kids' lives, right?
For sure.
Players of color that play in the National Hockey League, how much they respect him and admire him, and how much he played a role in their lives and their careers.
Yeah. And I don't even know that we could. And I've talked to him about this a couple of times, and we can truly even appreciate as what he went through to play. Like, it was just difficult. Probably. Well, I'm splitting hairs. I don't even know if that's true or not. I was going to say it was maybe tougher for Jackie Robinson, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Imagine the feeling of just being alone, right? I mean, because you're so different. I mean, and especially back in those days when he did it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to even comprehend, like, because this was in my lifetime, but I just did and I had done a book with a former major league player, Willie Horton, years ago, but we updated it just recently, and we talked more about the racism that he had faced in the 1960s. Now, I was alive in the 1960s. I was a baseball fan, and he's telling me stuff about, he couldn't stay at the same hotel with the other white players, and that in one spot, the only way the hotel would agree to put them up is they had to put all the black players in one room. So they had 6 of them in one room.
Wow.
When they stopped at some restaurants, Jake Wood, who was on the Tigers at that point, I interviewed him. By the way, he's in his 80s and still playing baseball. He goes to tournaments regularly, playing in an over 80 baseball league. Jake Wood does. So he's living your dream life. But anyway, the 2 black players couldn't go in, so they would the white players would go in and eat, and they'd stay on the bus, and then they'd bring them sandwiches out. Like what? Like, you just can't even imagine that. It's hard to believe. Yeah, that this is in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, something like that. And this was in 1961. So how many years after that? And
amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to imagine. So anyway, long overdue. I think this is great that they're going to do it. And as you pointed out, what a tremendous guy Willie O'Ree is. Just always fun and polite and gentlemanly. And
we had breakfast. My son was going to go to Michigan State, and we're out doing the visit at Michigan State. And we went in. There was a Red Wing game that night, so we went in and stayed. Ranger game, stayed in the hotel. Got up in the morning, and Willie was there. So he sat with us and had breakfast. And he was such a gentleman, like to my son, like talking to him. He wasn't. Like he was all about him and talking to my son and giving advice and all that. He was fantastic. Yeah, he was just a real great guy. Hey, I got a question for you. Eric Staal. Signed with the Minnesota's minor league team, and the goal, they say, is for him to play in the Olympics. Are you surprised? I mean, there's a guy that's played 15, 16 years, something like that.
No, to be honest, most of the Canadian team, the team's been named. Eric is on it, and like Jordan Tutu is on that team. It's funny. Everybody went a different direction. Like the Americans are like 15 or 16 college players. They went with a high level, a lot of first round picks. And Canada has taken a lot of former players. I wish I had the roster in front of me, because if you read them, their names you're going to recognize.
Okay, I'm going to take a look here.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I mean, I guess a guy like Eric Staal, he's going to China, which is a negative, right? But I mean, what's in it for him? I mean, has he played in Olympics before?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I don't think he has been on it, but yeah, I just think, I'm going to say it's going to sound like criticism. I'm not, but I just don't think you understand how big it is to be an Olympian. Like the guys really, really, really want to do it. Like it's like, it adds to their, their career. I played in the NHL. I was an Olympian. I think Canada probably has a shot to win a medal. I would think it's pretty much wide open.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, because it's all the countries are the same way. They don't have any.
Well, yeah, I would think Russia would have an advantage because a lot of their top players, are in the KHL. I mean, more so than any other league.
That's true.
Because if a guy's a borderline, we leave him in the KHL. We don't want to deal with paying that up. Did you get the roster there?
I can't see it here. I'm on the TSN site. I don't see where it is.
Let me see if I can find it too, because I'd love to read it for people, because Jordan Tutu lobbied for a spot on Twitter.
Is that right?
Yeah, he said, if you want, he's like 38 years old, and he said, if you want a aggressive player, I'm your guy. And I just saw when I saw, let's see here, hockey team preview. Here it is. Hopefully we got it here.
While you're looking for that too, just touching on Patrick Kane, have you heard, or excuse me, Evander Kane? Any new news on him?
No, everybody says they've got an agreement in principle.
Well, but again, I wonder. Again, my take on it is that until this, again, the NHL Players Association has filed a grievance on his behalf, so it's got to go to an arbitrator. So, in my mind, until that arbitration is decided, I don't think he can sign a contract with anybody else, because if they won the decision, that means he would still have a contract with the San Jose Sharks. So he can't then go have a contract with any other team, including the Edmonton Oilers, right? That's my take on it.
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't seen anybody suggest that he's going to play right away, like that this is going to happen this week or anything. Right. So, right. I'm trying to look here. Claude Julien's going to be the coach. Let me see if it's Hockey Canada.
Shane Doan. Shane Doan's coaching. Wow, Shane Doan and Julien named GM. Oh, Shane Doan is the general manager. I see.
Right. Okay. Doggone it. Why can't we find this roster?
Yeah, I can't find the list. I thought it would be on TSN. But that's interesting. So what did the U.S. do? Did they go with more college kids? Or what did
all college, or not all, but they've got and a big-time college, like Jake Sanderson, Bernier, the number 2 pick by the Krakens on the team. Now, Canada does have some college players. They've got Owen Power, the Buffalo guy, and then Johnson, who the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's a real shifty forward.
How about Tyler Boucher for the U.S.? Did he make the team?
Well, excuse me. I don't think so. No. They went with the speed team. They didn't take Bobby Ryan either.
Oh, really?
The Americans took McNeil and Agostino, who both of those are like top 10 scorers in the KHL. They took Andy Mealy, who's been around forever. Pro player.
So Devin Dubnyk is with Canada. He's one of the goaltenders.
Yeah, Devin Dubnyk is their goalie. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys like that.
Right. Interesting.
That have played in the NHL.
Oh.
Yeah, like the list I saw had Jordan Tutu, Stahl, Devin Dubnyk. Trying to think who else. Some defensemen that people have heard of too.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, big question of the day: did you see the Sunday meal?
Yeah, I did. Was that the one that you had the wrapped up in the hamburger? You had
it was supposed to be like a turkey meatball kind of thing with mozzarella inside. Fresh
right.
Mozzarella.
What do you put in your meatballs?
That's somebody asked me that yesterday. A lot of people say you don't put milk in it. A lot of people put milk in there. So I use a little bit, probably like half a cup of breadcrumbs. A couple of eggs, mince up some garlic, onion. Usually I put spinach in. I actually forgot the spinach yesterday. Spinach in there. A little bit of, probably too much cheese. I put some freshly grated Parmesan cheese in there as well. I just did some Italian seasoning. So it's really not a whole lot to go into.
Yeah, that everything other than the cheese, everything you said, including spinach. My wife has been putting spinach in meatballs for 20 years, 25 years. So,
okay.
It was a good way to get the kids to eat some green vegetables.
Very true,
because you really don't taste it, but it looked good.
Yeah. Well, you sound kind of disappointed. I mean, are you just giving me lip service there? Like
no. I thought it really did look good.
I just sense the enthusiasm in your voice. It's a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I just saw somebody was saying, "Oh yeah, someone else has a cooking thing that's on my Facebook," and she made meatballs with turkey and hamburger yesterday as well.
So, okay.
Ground turkey. Oh no, it wasn't meatballs. It was meatloaf she made with.
Do you think she saw my post and it says I'm going to be like Tom?
It could be. I don't know. But I just saw something too. There, they every once in a while those cooking made easy things, and it was somebody making a baked spaghetti. Well, you don't even boil the noodles. You wrap hamburger around the noodles, and then you drench it with your sauce that you've made.
Right.
And you put it on top, and then you put cheese on the top of it, and then you just bake it.
So it's almost like a lasagna, right? Just
it's pretty much like lasagna, but you just do it with spaghetti. So
that's interesting. Susan wants to know. Good question. When is the NHL going to announce the rescheduled games? Any answers, or do they know?
Well, they're going to start pretty soon, so they're going to have to announce it too. They've been delaying because they're adding more and more all the time. So they're trying to delay it as long as they can, and people want to know. I mean, people who go to these games, that's been the problem.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I'm starting to wonder. Like, I went and I was just happened to be looking at some of the attendance. I don't know if you paid attention, but everybody's down a little bit on attendance. And I wonder what the impacts that is going to have on, the bottom line on the revenue.
Well, yeah, and that's, again, we talked about this before, where the league is suing the insurance company that denied their claim of over $1 billion that they've lost. So if that's an indication that they've lost $1 billion, and now I've heard as much as like over 40% the numbers are down on attendance, which that hurts the National Hockey League more than other sports.
Yeah, for sure. But the go ahead.
Susan brings up another. Susan's on fire today. Post game, Connor McDavid, he sounded like he was just a beaten man.
He did. Yeah, Susan is so astute. I thought the same thing. That first of all, I wouldn't drag him out like that, just because the last time he talked too, when he was talking about Evander Kane, when he was just seemed like well, if it makes us better, I should do it. He doesn't know what to say. That's not his gift. Is not public speaking, and
he's not Wayne Gretzky at all, right? Wayne Gretzky is really good at that stuff.
He doesn't know what to say, and oftentimes what you see is you have alternate captains, and then you vary that a little bit to give a break. Like especially if there's a loss, they take turns, bring guys out. And I think they need to do that with Connor McDavid.
Well, and you think to yourself, like Kenny Holland, the general manager, is in a tough spot, like with the whole Evander Kane thing. He needs to do something with that team. Kenny Holland needs to do something to get that team. Probably, obviously goaltending is the most important thing in a defenseman, at least one defenseman. But it's one of those things that Evander Kane is there. So someone's like, well, if he didn't do something, if he didn't look at Evander Kane, everybody's going to be like, well, why aren't you trying Evander Kane? You need to try everything possible. Right? And
I keep pointing this out to readers that kept saying this, or like saying, he shouldn't be doing this. He should start being a goalie. It's not one or the other, because Evander Kane doesn't cost them a lot of money. It's just like changing, he's got a certain brand of a piece that he has in, and he's going to change the brand out, but it's the same cost.
Right.
So whatever he was going to do, he can still do that and also get Evander Kane. At least that's the way I view it.
But the problem for me is now, and it's a great point, like Connor McDavid, think of him alone. So here's a star player, came in, hasn't even come close to winning anything at the National Hockey League level. That's not his fault. It's just, it's the team just isn't good enough, right? They don't have the right mix there. So now you bring in Evander Kane and the gong show that comes with him. Because it doesn't go away. He comes in, and it's especially up in Edmonton, it's going to be weeks of them talking about Evander Kane being on the team. And if he doesn't play well,
you might be right, but you might not as well. Like, you don't really know what he's going to be like. And
no matter what he's like, the gong show will still be, the media will be all over. Like, first, like, why did they make this?
But we talk about all the time that's overrated. Like, what goes on in your with the other guys? Like, does that change how you're going to play? Is that
I just think they're so far down now. Like they're not even close to being a strong locker room. It's just the team is beaten. Yeah. He's the leader. I just feel like listen. I think maybe Kenny Holland is just saying, or maybe I'm misreading this. He has to show that he's trying everything possible to improve this hockey team. Right? Yeah. I don't know.
I would say this: if he just brings in Evander Kane and doesn't go out and bring in other pieces. Now, it's going to require him to be very creative to bring in anybody because they have no cap space. They're among the teams that have zero. So it's going to have to be player in, player out. You're going to take something out in order to get some player in because, people are talking about, well, it's prorated and all that kind of stuff. But, the player you're bringing in is prorated as well. So, like in other words, if you got a $5 million player and you bring him in, but you're only really paying 40% of his salary, it's the same thing to take that player out because there's only 40% left on that guy's salary. So,
well, how about Tuukka Rask? Tuukka Rask now has missed the whole year. Now he's coming back. He's played in the minors. I think he's due to play this week. I think if he hasn't played already.
He has played.
Is he in play? Is he a guy that's tradable? I mean, they got two other good young goaltenders.
Well, no, you haven't been reading. Tuukka Rask has said now for months that he'll only play for the Bruins.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. He's not coming back to play. And then there was a story too, which I thought was kind of fun, and you'll appreciate this. The Bruce Cassidy, the coach, said, there's just a buzz in our dressing room because Tuukka's back. Like it's their buddy. And he didn't want to go anywhere else. He announced when he was rehabbing that the Bruins wouldn't have any difficulty signing him. He signed for next to nothing. Right. And he's coming in. They're going to try to win. And, this will probably be his last year. But he had no interest, zero interest.
Okay. So then who is Marc-Andre Fleury? Is he a guy that either Colorado gets or Edmonton gets or tries to get?
I think so. Although, I think we have to call his agent, Alan Walsh, and talk to him about it because, I felt he was going to go to Chicago, but, apparently he had to seriously think about it, whether he wanted to do that. His kids are older. He's older. So you're uprooting a team.
He'd probably less likely want to go to, obviously be less likely want to go to Edmonton, not just because where it is, but it's also the team. The team isn't in great shape. But you look at Colorado, you say, man, if Marc-Andre Fleury goes in there, they could win the Stanley Cup, right? So,
yeah, for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. And Colorado's in the same boat. Like they're going to have to take somebody out too, to bring somebody in. And, these are all difficult. I can't wait to see what Vegas does to, bring Eichel's going to be back in a few weeks, the owner says.
I saw that today, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been around and, he's been skating with the team. So, who's coming out of that lineup?
I know. And they've had a lot of guys on injury too, right? That are now coming back.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Pacioretty probably will be later, I would assume, than Eichel. So it really will be the Pacioretty one that will have to do something. So,
yeah. Geez, how about, remember in the old days, you used to be going into Alberta playing the Oilers and the Flames. It was just people get beat up all the time. Then it was California for a while. Now it's Florida, right? You go down to Florida, like Florida was just beating people up bad. Didn't they have a couple of 9-2, 7-1 games?
Yeah. Yeah. Now that team is really, really good. Is it too early to start thinking about a Florida versus Tampa matchup? Because that's going to be a great series.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good hockey. And then you throw Carolina in that mix too. Those three teams playing each other at some point. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, Carolina's got to get out of their division. Tampa and Florida are going to have to play each other.
Yeah,
unless Toronto upsets one of them.
Right.
So
that's right, and I should be careful because the Rangers in the same division as Carolina, right? Yes.
Yeah, and don't forget the and the Bruins. Like I never discount the Bruins.
No, I hear you. I'm with you. As long as Patrice Bergeron's on a team, they always got a chance to win it. But man, they just don't seem to do it for me right now. But
I think it feels like it's past their time.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think you can. Like I always feel playoffs. People always want to look at sports as if it's black and white, especially fans.
Right. And
I always say that the difference between a sports writer and a fan is a sports writer understands that we have no idea who's going to win. Where a fan always believes they've got it figured out. I mean, you talk to a fan and they'll say, "Oh, we're so much better on the power play. We get, they've sorted it all out and they've got the answer." Where I've covered this league for 37 years, and I never have any answers because I know that there's always some variables that you don't count on.
And they do these things like, the Dallas game against San Francisco yesterday. They were talking in the NFL, talking about the matchups they've had over the years. It really doesn't matter. The players are playing now.
All that stuff does matter, but here's the way I would view it. Because it does matter. I mean, we've actually had, I remember reading a story where the Toronto players talked about that, when you constantly are being asked the question, it does start to sort of enter your psyche, that it does do it. But here's the way that I would view it. I would view it instead of, black and white, I always look at it as if these teams played in 10 series over the space of 20 weeks, how many times will each team win the series? Like I would say that the Tampa versus Florida would either be a 5-5 or a 6-4.
Yeah.
Like I think they would go back and forth.
Yeah.
Where, I would say if Boston had to play Tampa Bay, I would think right now, or Florida, I would say it would be 8-2.
Yeah, 8-2. I go with you. Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. The great Ron Greshner wants to know who's our predictions coming out of the East and coming out of the West. Very quick one.
He's coming out of the East. Well, I mean, I think it's going to be Florida or Tampa.
Okay. Well, obviously, I've got to go with the Rangers. I can't not go with the Rangers.
No, yeah, I understand that. And and then on the West, I'm still at Colorado. I really like them quite a bit. Yeah, like Tampa and Florida have been the two best. Yeah, I like Carolina too. So
I'm going to look at a team. I should be careful here. Look at Calgary, right? So they've dropped off a little bit here now.
Right.
But when they were playing well, didn't you think they were a team that could come out of the West, that big, strong, physical team?
Yeah, but I don't know. I've watched Colorado. I've been watching Colorado, and boy, they're good. They're just scoring so many goals.
Yeah, and then you get Vegas. Oof.
The one thing that worries me about Vegas, you look at the Edmonton and Colorado goaltending, and we're all talking about it.
Yeah.
And they're among the bottom teams in terms of team save percentage.
Right.
But you know who's down there with them? The Vegas Golden Knights.
Oh, are they really?
Yeah, like Robin Leonard has been not as great as he's been in the past. So,
but he's been great just in short spurts, though, right? But he really hasn't had a history of looking at that great goal. That's why I will never understand that whole thing. I guess Marc-Andre Fleury was older and his career his contract was coming to an end. So you need to replace him. But I don't know. That was strange. So Ron Greshner, he calls me Mr. Tom Homer for picking the Rangers. Yep. Oh God, I'd like to hear what his pick would have been.
Well, it's hard to predict, but if Carolina and the Rangers played, what would that be? A 6-4 series?
Carolina and the Rangers. I'll tell you what, if Shesterkin is healthy the whole time, he is unbelievable. Like he wins games by himself.
So would you say 5-5? They would each win.
I'm going to go 6-4 Rangers with Shesterkin in that. Really, he's that much of a difference. Like if he was healthy the whole time, had missed time with COVID, to me, he's a contender for MVP in the league. He is that.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about it is, I think the Carolina defense is harder to play against.
Yeah.
Not that the Rangers defense isn't good, because it is.
Yep.
But I think the Carolina defense is harder to play against, and I like the Rangers' depth, but their younger players haven't stepped up yet. You look at Carolina, they got 13 goals. I went and looked this up. They got 13 goals over 2 games. And how many points do you think Sebastian Aho had in those 2 games?
Is he still a young player?
Sebastian Aho?
Yeah. You still call him a young player? What is he? 25, 26?
Yeah. I think no, he's not a young player. But I'm just saying, how many points do you think he had in him? 13.
12.
He had 1.
Oh.
So the point of all that is Sebastian Aho is their best offensive player,
right?
But he didn't do anything, and he scored 13 goals. Right. Like that's a pretty deep team.
Right. See, I just think watching Gerard Gallant coach, he doesn't really let those young players really have to do a lot to break into and play a lot of that top 6. I mean, what's his name? Lafreniere got more ice time when Panarin was out. But it was clear listening to Gallant talk that wasn't going to stay that way. I mean, when Perry comes back in, Lafreniere goes back down and plays bottom 6 minutes. I just think the world is Shesterkin. There's been times the Rangers have not played well, and he's won them games. Like there's a game early in the year up in Toronto. I think they got outshot like 50 shots against him, whatever, and he stole that game. So he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and Toronto fans keep pointing out to Carolina because Freddie Anderson has really been good this year. Yeah, wait till the playoffs.
Yeah,
wait till the playoffs. So, we'll see how that goes. I like Gerard Gallant as well. Probably not as much as you do, but I would give Rod Brind'Amour a little edge there. But Gallant. But to be honest, Gallant has taken the team to the final. Brind'Amour hasn't done that.
Yeah, but very similar coaching styles, right? It's about the players. It's not about the coach. The coaches don't sit there and talk about all the things they know. They say, listen, the players, we got to play, bottom line.
Yeah.
Simplified. Yeah. Big game today. The Greenwich Girls High School hockey team is playing Fairfield at 1:45 at Dorothy Hamill Rink. In case anybody wants to watch, we played on Friday night? No, Saturday night. We hadn't played in a month. Played a team, Stanford, that no disrespect to Stanford, they played very well, but we lost 5-1. We were skating in sand. We hadn't skated enough, so very disappointing.
Oh, okay. And have you had any luck getting any goals this season? Yeah, I know you were concerned about.
That is an issue. That is an issue. We don't create a lot of chances. Yes.
Yeah. I just saw this. I didn't know this before. Do you know what the expectation is for an NHL team in terms of scoring chances per game? I could have guessed all day and not got this right.
What's the expectation?
Yeah, so what you really think, if your team is playing well, how many they should get? Scoring chances, not shots on goal.
Right, 20?
That's a pretty good guess. 16.
16. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've talked to a couple of coaches and they've said that if their team gets 16, they're usually pretty happy with that.
Right. So. I bet you Robbie Ftorek in the day would have said every shot on net's a scoring chance. That's the way Robbie was. I don't know why that came to mind. I remember Robbie, some coaches would want to have like 4 or 5 game segments, and how many before that 4 or 5 game segments, the coach would want to know from each player, how many games during that 4 or 5 game segment do you think we should win? And Robbie would always say, if it was 4 game segment, he would say 4. And the coach would go, well, and Robbie would then go 4 for everyone. He would say, because we should win every game. Our expectation is to win every game. The coach was trying to have that logic.
That makes sense. I like the idea that every time you shoot the puck, it's a scoring chance, because there is some percentage of chance that will go in.
Yeah. So probably the most disciplined and stubborn man I've ever met in my life. Even more stubborn than me. That says a lot. So.
I was going to ask you. We're going to have to go, but you can ponder this because we'll talk about it. If you do you watch SEAL Team, the television show?
I haven't watched it. No, I don't watch much TV except for football and hockey. Yeah.
Oh, but not even on the SEALs. I mean, on the SEAL Team.
But that's actors, right? It's not the real deal.
Yeah, but it's it's pretty representative. So.
Well.
Yeah. All right. We won't even talk about it then. So, all right. Sounds good. Everyone, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back on Wednesday. If you want to read me, hockeybuzz.com and DetroitHockeyNow.com.
Again, if you want to listen to the radio version of this show, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Again, that's radio.co at 365 Sports. See you, buddy, on Wednesday.